they could all be number one. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark. So today I'm doing something a little different. I've been recording, got the drums set up and doing a bunch of stuff. But I was thinking I wanted to record a video, and I have a couple things that I wanted to do, but this one video is taking a little longer than I thought to get the stuff together. I do try to use, or at least do some kind of structure to these. I know sometimes it seems a little haphazard. But these are fun. And I was just thinking, I wanted to do a video. I wanted to do something. Boy, I'm going to do a lot of editing. But I thought a good topic was like a top 5, top 10 concept album. And I sat down and, you make these lists, you try to do the best you can. You're trying to, this isn't they're in no specific order. It's just, these are the albums that when I was thinking about this, these came to mind. And these are the ones that popped out the most, and the ones I find that I enjoy the most. There's a ton of other albums out there. There's a lot of really good concept albums, but these were just 10 of my favorites, and in no order. It's just kind of how they came to my mind. First concept album is Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime, released in 1988. It's about a drug addict who gets involved with this group, and they try to run some scams and kill some people, and it's actually a really cool story. I'm not going to get too much into the details of these albums. It's just give some little piece of thing, and if I'm looking down, it's because I got my notes here, because I do have notes. Second album, Pink Floyd, The Wall. I don't think by now you really need a explanation of what that album is, but it's based on Rodgers wanting to pull away from the audience and just not really have to deal with the audience, and he wanted to build a wall and all that stuff. So that's really what that album's about, and about the losing of your mind. Great album again. A good little thing that nobody really knows is when Pink Floyd were looking to release another new album after Animals, Roger went to I'm losing my train of thought now. The producer, Bob Ezrin, with 2 albums. He went there with The Wall and The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, and he was going to use one of them for his solo album, and Rick Rubin picked The Wall to do with Pink Floyd, so that's how they did The Wall. Or it could have been The Pros and Cons. Excuse me. This one is a weird one. This is a band that pops up in every little piece of my life, one way or another. It's not an album that anybody probably would have thought about. It's 1981 Kiss, The Elder. Weird album. The production, I think, is terrible on it, even though Bob Ezrin did it. It just sounds... I just don't like the sound of the album. I think it's got some really good songs on it. And I think if done at a different time or something different, the album itself, the quality of the songs is good. The story is good. It's basically based on comics that Gene used to write. So good album. The songs are great. Ace has a good song on it. There's a good straight up musical on it. Really good. I like the album. I don't think they get as much credit for that. An obvious one that I've been listening to a lot is Steven Wilson, Hand That Cannot Erase. That was released in 2015. Basically, it's a story from the female perspective of a woman that died in her apartment. She had a lot of family and friends, but nobody missed her for 3 years. So it's kind of cool story. Again, I'm not going to get into too much detail about these, but because I think sometimes we kind of create our own stories to it, so it may or may not follow precisely how the artist intended it. But again, these are just my opinions and my views on some of these albums. Next one, awesome album, 1987, King Diamond, Abigail. And that's an amazing album. The vocals and the singing style is not for everyone. I will admit that. This was in the 80s. I believe the production on this is the album sounds incredible. The story is great. It's just a ghost story. There's two characters I did want to point them out, and because they come up all the time, Jonathan LaFay and Marion. They're the two main characters, along with Abigail, who is it was a stillborn baby that they're trying to. It's part of the story. That's just it. If you listen to it and you really listen to the story, it's in there, and it's pretty cool. It's a great story, great singing, done. Just it's great. If there's one album that I would suggest to try to listen to get through King Diamond, it would be Abigail. Another weird one, maybe not so weird, but this group kind of hold the place. They're a really cool band. I was really confused when I first started listening to them, because I thought the singer was female, because the first song I heard was off of this album. It's called The Skylit Drive. The band is The Skylit Drive. And the album is Wires and the Concept of Breathing. And like I said, the first song I heard, I was really blown away. I thought it was a woman because there's a woman on the cover of the album. But amazing. This album, the soundscape, the sounds, I think this album was a home run. It's loosely based on like Final Fantasy stuff. That kind of thing. Really, really good band. Different, that's a band that probably sticks out like a sore thumb on this. If you listen to all these, you'd be like, what is this? But if you really listen to it, the flow, how the music's written, how the music is played, it's incredible. I really, really like this album. I think it's too bad that they didn't gel and keep together this thing they had going on, but they were a really good band. They're still out there now. They're doing two different things, but that's a different story. But yeah, The Skylit Drive, Wires, and the Concept of Breathing. So, and again, these can be in any order. These are just albums that I really enjoy, and I think as concept albums, they really nail it. This one's a huge one. This is probably, I believe, has some of the best production, some of the best songwriting, and some of the best performances on it. And it's from 2006. It's My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade. an amazing story. This album, the flow, the sequencing they did of the songs, it's incredible. Um, just really, I can't criticize the music at all on this. The story is basically someone is dying of cancer, and their experience going through that, and it crossing over to their experiences in the afterlife. It's a really really cool story. Um, as you can see with most of these, they're dark for some reason. There's this darkness across these bands and these albums that it's just incredible. You know, if I look at these, it's. I guess it takes pain and suffering to kind of get your point across. But next album is from 1973. A lot of people probably don't realize it is a concept album. It's Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. And it's really all connected, one with the heartbeat, two with the gaining success and money and the mental problems and breakdowns that comes along and that all that stuff kind of causes. You know, there's a reference to Sid in there, Sid Barrett. But yeah, again, I don't really have to say too much about that. I can't you can't listen to one song out of context except maybe Money. Um, you just the album and all of these were really made to be listened to straight through. This was another. I love this album, and it is a concept album, and it's being credited as one of the first. It's 1967. The Beatles, Sergeant Pepper's, you know, fictional band. It's just basically covering performances of them. Some people question: is it the Beatles, Sergeant Pepper, or is it the Beach Boys, Pet Sounds, where the Beatles kind of started? They had that little competition going on. Great album, great album. I love the story. I love the way it flows, um, and it really started to set the ball for what was to come from bands and productions. It's dated. The production sounds dated, but I've got more gear in here probably than they had to use as far as microphones and stuff. So yeah, it's amazing. It's just a great album. And the last one is probably the most current one that I've been listening to. And then there's a little bonus here. I have two of their albums on here. The newest one from Coheed and Cambria, released in 2022, was Vaxis Act 2. And these are all based off of the Armory Wars, which was, I think, a story that Claudio Sanchez, the singer-writer, I watched an interview and he was talking about most of these albums. I guess I kind of go in and out with Coheed and Cambria. I kind of forget how amazing they are, and I get onto something else. But they're always there. A little fact about them, and I'm sure most of the people know if they know Coheed and Cambria. If you want to check out the really really early stuff, look up Shibuti. They have playlists on YouTube. I think if you go in my playlists, there's something in there of all their early stuff, and you can see the beginnings of Coheed and Cambria, which is awesome. So Axis Fact 2, and the bonus is going to be In Keeping of Silent Earth Part 3, and that was released in 2003. That was the album that really reintroduced me to Coheed and Cambria because I knew them as Shibuti. So, and it's a good concept flowy album. I don't really know the meanings behind it because sometimes I don't pay attention. And I've talked about this with people. I don't always listen to the lyrics. It's about the sound and the way it is, and I don't try to understand the meaning behind it, which is probably why I have a really hard time writing lyrics. So I can hear the melodies, I can get a couple words together, but for me, it's really hard to write lyrics. So with these bands being able to have a continuum and a storyline that is easy to follow and draws you in and kind of paints this amazing picture. And I think that's one of the sad things about Pink Floyd's The Wall is it's kind of connected to that movie, which is part of it. But I think when we develop the visuals in our own minds, in our own heads, that it personalizes it a little bit for you. Like I said, we can take any of these albums in any kind of context that we find in there, and that's how you connect with it. So I don't want to drag on because I wanted to just make a little video here, and this is already over 15 minutes. So I'm going to check off here, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.